No one expected the World Cup's 100th birthday to look like this. A tournament spread across 6 countries, on 2 continents, built to be the biggest celebration in football history. But before a single ball has been kicked, cities are already walking away, mayors are quitting, residents are protesting, political tension is boiling under the surface. This is the story of how the 2030 World Cup football's grand centenary celebration became a crisis before it even began. To understand how we got here, we have to go back. For decades, the World Cup belonged to one country, sometimes 2, a single host, a single story. But football had changed. FIFA wanted bigger. FIFA wanted global. So when it came time to award the 2030 tournament, something historic happened. FIFA didn't just pick one host, or 2, or even 3. To mark the 100th anniversary of the tournament, FIFA gave the honor of hosting to Morocco, Portugal, and Spain, with 3 additional countries, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, hosting special centenary matches. Wikipedia: 6 nations, 2 continents, 1 World Cup. On paper, it was beautiful. A tribute to where it all began in Uruguay back in 1930, combined with the modern ambition of Europe and Africa working together. But nobody knew just how complicated beautiful was about to get. The bid itself was already a long and messy road. The original plan even included Ukraine as a 4th partner nation, until its federation president was arrested on suspicion of embezzlement, quietly ending that chapter of the story. Wikipedia: still, Morocco, Portugal, and Spain pushed forward. Morocco, which had tried and failed to host a World Cup 5 separate times before, was finally about to get its moment. Wikipedia: the finalized plan included 6 stadiums in Morocco, 3 in Portugal, and 11 across Spain, 20 stadiums in 17 cities in total. Wikipedia looked settled. It looked ready. Then something unbelievable happened. One by one, cities started backing out. In April 2025, residents of San Sebastian actually wrote to FIFA asking to be removed as a host city, not because they didn't love football, but because of over-tourism already crushing their city. Wikipedia. Then came Malaga. In July 2025, Malaga withdrew entirely, citing logistical problems with renovating its stadium in time. Wikipedia. But the real shock came almost a year later, in March 2026. The mayor of Akureyri, who also happens to be president of the local football club, announced the city was pulling out too, simply because the hosting costs were too high, despite having stadium upgrade plans already in motion. Wikipedia: think about that for a second. These aren't small decisions. These are cities walking away from hosting the biggest sporting event on earth because the price tag and the pressure wasn't worth it. However, the stadium withdrawals were only the beginning of the story, because behind the logistics, a much deeper, more sensitive issue was building. Morocco's involvement as a host wasn't just about football, it was political. Analysts have pointed out that hosting the World Cup gives Morocco a powerful platform to reinforce its position on one of the most sensitive issues in North Africa, the disputed territory of Western Sahara. Wikipedia reports have described this as Morocco using football as a form of diplomacy, hoping the tournament will help consolidate the political wins it has already secured on that issue. Wikipedia. That's where everything changed. Suddenly, this wasn't just a story about stadiums and travel routes. It became a story about identity, territory, and global politics, all wrapped inside a football tournament that's supposed to unite the world. And FIFA didn't have the luxury of fixing this quietly, because the world was already watching another World Cup fall apart in real time. 2026, the tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The dress rehearsal before 2030 has been engulfed in controversy. Ticket prices spiraling into the thousands. Visa nightmares for fans and even players. Political tension bleeding directly into the stadiums. The lesson for 2030 is impossible to ignore. Hosting the World Cup in the modern era is no longer just about football. It's about politics, money, and public trust, all magnified under a global spotlight. And with 6 countries instead of 1, the margin for error in 2030 isn't smaller. It's bigger than any World Cup has ever faced. Fans are torn. Some are thrilled. A World Cup that spans continents, connects the tournament's past in South America to its future in Europe and Africa, celebrating a century of the game in one grand gesture. Others are furious. Local communities in Spain say they're being asked to fund stadiums and infrastructure, while ordinary residents get pushed out of their own cities by rising costs and tourism. Fans in North Africa and human rights. Observers question whether the tournament is being used as a political tool rather than a football celebration. On social media, the reactions are brutal. Accusations of FIFA prioritizing spectacle over sustainability, and cities being left to clean up the financial mess long after the trophy is lifted. Football analysts have started calling this the hosting curse, a pattern where nearly every modern World Cup host runs into the same problems: spiraling costs, political backlash, and logistical chaos. No matter how wealthy or organized the country appears. Never before has FIFA tried to coordinate a tournament across 6 nations and 2 continents. Every additional host multiplies the risk: more logistics, more politics, more chances for something to go wrong. Some experts argue this is simply the price of a World Cup, this ambitious. Others believe FIFA is stretching the tournament past the point it can realistically manage. What happens in 2030 will shape how FIFA plans World Cups for decades. If the 6-2-continent model works, it opens the door to even bigger, more experimental tournaments in the future. If it collapses under its own weight, more city withdrawals, more political conflict, more public backlash, FIFA may be forced to rethink the entire model of shared hosting altogether. Either way, the world will be watching closely. Long before the opening match is ever played, the 2030 World Cup was supposed to be football's greatest celebration. 100 years, 6 nations, 2 continents, one shared dream. But dreams this big come with cracks. And those cracks are already showing. Whether this tournament becomes a historic triumph or a cautionary tale, that story is still being written. One thing is certain: the road to 2030 is only just beginning, and it's already anything but simple.